Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning to my colleagues, to the testifiers, to the people of the territory, central staff, my staff. I hope you guys are enjoying the holiday season. I want to ask one question to everyone. As a resident, this is probably the 6th time we're going to be trying this if we get this measure passed. I want each of you to share with me, what do you think the one thing, why you think as a people we have not been able to be successful 5 times in getting this done, to pass a constitution? Anyone could start. Ms. Mulliner, you could share quickly. Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I think you would probably get a more substance from those who participated in the 5th convention itself, but from some outside who saw what was happening.
Ms. Molina, you're breaking up. We're having a hard time hearing you. You need to come closer to your mic, please. Your device.
Thank you. From the outside, I was not a participant in the 5th Constitutional Convention. And so I know that there were a lot of issues.
Well, hold on. I'm not talking about being a member. I'm saying as a community, why do you believe that we have not been successful? You're part of an organization that have possibly been following these things. Give me one thing you think stands out the most as to why you believe we have not been successful at getting this done.
From what I can see, Senator, it's mostly procedural. This was the 5th convention, and from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, each one had procedural issues.
So, procedure.
Procedural
former
issues.
Senator Jackson, could you share your thoughts on the question?
1 minute.
Thank you, Senator. I believe from a historic perspective, why we have not been able to achieve a constitution has been the dynamics of the hopes and aspirations of Virgin Islanders.
Okay.
And they differ over the decades.
Okay, I'm running out of time, so try and hurry up. Thank you.
So,
I
that's
appreciate. She's procedure, your dynamics. I want to ask another question quickly. I'm hearing multiple things from different people, and I just need clarity. From the panelists here, who is in support of utilizing this constitution to just create something new? Who is in support of using the old document and potentially adding stuff from the Revised Organic Act? Who is in support of just utilizing the Revised Organic Act and later amending it? Because some of the testimony sounds one way, but then it sounds another. And I just need a little bit of clarity as to what's what. Ms. Molina, could you, from your testimony, a lot of my questions came about, to be honest. It was a little different. So could you share with me what exactly is the stance of your organization?
Time.
Oh dear. Do I have the time to respond, Senator?
Yes.
You may proceed on the chair's time.
Yes. Yeah. View of what happened is that the Constitution itself failed to meet some of the requirements of Congress, and but even were it to those changes to be made and returned, there were elements of the document that there were many people in the community who had difficulties with. Our suggestion is take the Revised Organic Act and develop amendments piece by piece moving forward, rather than presenting a full document. So a person who has problems with just one section of it wouldn't eliminate the whole thing
Okay.
one time.
Madam Chair, could I just finish my statement and I'm
You can wrap up, Senator.
Thank you. I hear your stance. I just want to put this on the record. I am not in favor of utilizing an antiquated document that is almost 70 years old. I think there's a lot of things within the Revised Organic Act that does more harm than good to us as a people. And I think if we're going to invest money once again, I think we should either utilize the previous document, strip out those contentious issues, and if there's anything that we would like to add in from the Revised Organic Act, do so. I am very concerned about us repeating and going in circles because we need to get this done. So thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the additional time.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Good day to my colleagues, to the people of the territory, testifiers. My first set of questions I want to ask is, in listening to Mr. Nibbs and yourself, Mr. Colwood, in potentially rolling out a loan program October 1st, 2024, what exactly would preclude you from doing it right now outside of your need for reassurance that you're a little bit more stable?
You want to go first?
Either one, Mr. Nibbs? Your mic is muted. You need to open your mic.
I'm sorry.
Go
You're
ahead.
correct. I think we are changing our risk profile. We're trying to see, obviously, moving from the bond space to an equity space where we can obviously earn more income. And our stance is if we earn enough income, we can use that income to roll out a loan program. I
Okay.
mean, if that happens,
I'm running out of
prior
time.
to
Hold
October
on.
120,
I got it, sir. Quick question. I need to find out, have you guys ever done an analysis versus your other investments versus the loan program and see which one had the greater loss? Because I would see where you would stop it if you saw that you were losing on the program. Because I know with that program, 75% of the funding is automatically covered. So you automatically don't have a loss if anything happens. So if you loan out $100, GRS automatically, backed up by people's investments, would get back $75 immediately. Is that not how it's set up? You have a 75% backup based on the investments that their retirement money's put into the system. So have you done an analysis to see exactly, was this loan program successful in comparison to your other investments, because this has a guarantee of a 75% return?
From a purely numerical
there was never
standpoint,
a loss in the loan program. Senator.
Dwayne Calwood, GRS board chair.
Oh, okay.
From a numerical standpoint, right? The loan program was successful, and from a purely number standpoint,
Yes.
it's actually the best investment that the system could make. The reason you had to stop it was purely a cash flow issue, because if you drawing down money out of your investment portfolio
seconds.
and you get on to the point where you have 3 years left of funding, you can't give somebody a loan and that money going through the door and it's going to take you 5 years to recoup it plus investment when, you know, you burning through cash at a rate and in 2 years you're going to be insolvent. So it wasn't that the loan program wasn't successful. It was a cash flow issue.
Okay. So when have you guys done any analysis to see why that specific date of 2024 might be the best time? Because I think a lot of people look forward to utilizing that loan program because they knew that, okay, this is a backup. It's backed up by their own funding.
Time.
If anything ever happened, it's covered. You understand? And then for it to just disappear, and whether through legislation or even us potentially having to do something now, it has never been re-implemented. So that's something people are concerned with, but I'll continue to listen to the testimony. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger. Senator, point 2603. That is the issue on the table.
Well, the concern, why I wanted clarity through legal counsel, is because when we were initially doing the motions, I recall one senator said we were waiving it for this section. So if when he referenced it, I'm assuming that it's waived for this section. So even if she just referenced one part, the entire waiving was already done previously for this section by another senator. So that's why I'm just trying to get clarity.
And I will
Thank you.
allow it, but let me just be clear that once the senator decided to bring that motion in the manner that it was brought in, then what was already voted on by the previous senator no longer stood for that particular special order. It's just the process. But I will allow the legal counsel to weigh in so we could be clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Mr. Legal Counsel, can you please provide clarity for Senator Francis Heiliger?
Through the chair to Senator Francis Heiliger, matters on the floor are advanced or not advanced based on a motion or motions. With respect to the motion that was initially advanced by the Vice President, it was a general waiving of the rules. In the case of Senator Whitaker, she, in her motion, specifically referred to discharging, I don't recall the bill number, pursuant to Rule 608, which requires a majority vote of the entire legislature voting. So because Senator Whitaker utilized, she didn't, her motion was specific to that particular bill under 608, that is why it's treated differently in this instance versus what was done generally.
Thank you, Mr. Counsel. Minutes. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Good evening. Good evening to the people of the territory. Good evening to my colleagues. I would like to say special thank you to Central staff for being able to provide us with an agenda that we can follow this evening. First of all, I would like to rise in support of some of these pieces of legislation. Specifically, I would like to expound upon Bill number 34-0232 and Act amending Title 20. Chapter 3, Section 42, relating to the governor's initial report to the legislature on a long range of programs for construction and improvement of roads. I think this piece of legislation is important as a member of this institution. When we pass legislation, a lot of times as direct representatives of the people, they come back to us wanting to get information, and we want to make sure that the funding that we have appropriated is actually being spent in the way it's supposed to be, and the governor reporting back time certain, I think, is an excellent thing. So I am 100% in support of that legislation. 34-0243, as it relates to the composition and duties of the Board of Naturopathic Physicians and for other related purposes. I know when you come to dealing with your health, a lot of time the traditional way of utilizing regular doctors, but there are many people in our territory that also would like to be able to utilize alternatives, and us as a body setting up rules and regulations for this, I think, is excellent, so that we give people, when it comes to their health and medical wellness, the options to make their own choice and desires. I also would like to speak a little bit on Bill 34-0253 and Act amending Title 33, Subtitle 2, Chapter 1. This one speaks to the extending the exemption for the payment of real property tax to certain real property. Unfortunately, we've had quite a bit of issues over the years, and the last situation we had with dealing with the property taxes, unfortunately, there was quite a bit of hiccup in regards to individuals that were
30 seconds
fixing the system simultaneously at the same time, and it caused quite a bit of issues. As one of those individuals that were paying, I saw situations where people were overbilled because things were not being done. So I think this was very appropriate to do at this time. And I would also like to touch a little bit on Act amending Title III as it relates to the Executive Director of the Taxi Cab Commission. We have heard quite a bit of stories from the taxi cabs driver themselves, as well as individuals with the management of this board. The word dictatorship comes to mind based on how I have seen certain things happen with this board and how it's being presented. So I'm very happy as a body that we have stepped forward to give the executive director a little bit more direct authority in running the day-to-day operations of this institution. So I would like to thank my colleagues for bringing forward several of these pieces of legislation. Some I have also sponsored, but I would like to thank them. And Madam Chair, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Senator Francis Heiliger. Final block of today's session. Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 3 minutes.
Good evening once again. In this block, we have 18 pieces of legislation. I am going to try to at least pull out some of them to share my thoughts. First, in this block 34-0387, this one has to do with East Beeston Hill, the rezoning from R1 to B3. I am not in support of this piece of legislation as it stood. We had various discussions here in this chambers. Unfortunately, I am a supporter of things going through the process. The individuals did come before us. I am 100% in support of housing and various other economic development projects for the island of St. Croix, but I was very much concerned as to how this came through the process. I am not a supporter of people deliberately knowing that something is zoned a particular zone and they come towards this body to change it. So at the appropriate time, we have an amendment that we're offering for this piece of legislation. Also, 34-0344 has to do with the expungement of criminal records, personal convict of marijuana related to crimes and offenses. I am 100% in support of this legislation. As you know, this evening we're going to be trying to move forward with the cannabis legislation here in the territory. And I think many people that have been convicted over the years, it would be a beautiful thing to have their records expunged so that these things are not going to be a blemish if we're attempting to make it something legal here in the territory. I also want to touch a little bit as it relates to 34-0397, and this one has to do to the increased appropriation to the Frederick Health Care, Inc. I believe any opportunity that we have as a government to help sometimes organizations that really help the people when it comes to health care. As you know, 1/3 of our population does not have access to insurance. And the fact that these organizations do exist within our community, I will be more than happy to assist them at any given moment so they could continue to do the good work on behalf of the people of this territory. I also want to touch on 34-0388. This one has to do with the increasing of the government salary for semi-autonomous and independent agencies. As you know, several years ago, it was changed to about $27,040, if I recall. This one is attempting to shift it up to 32. The thing with me is, I know a lot of people at times will say, we don't have enough money. But being a member of this government, I see that we find money for everything under the sun. We find money to travel all over the place. We find money for baseball parks. We find money for so many things. You're telling me you're going to find $1 million to go celebrate 175 years. But you can't find $4 million for the very people that need the help and support in this territory. We have to figure it out. So my time is up. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Heiliger. You're recognized for your amendment.
I rise to offer amendment number 34-717 to bill number 34-0387. offered by Senator Alma Francis Heiliger, Senator Kenneth L. Gittin, Senator Javon James, Senator Keith Johnson, and Senator Marvin Angel Bolquez. Bill number 34-0387 is amended at the end of Section 1 after business scattered by adding on the condition.
1 second, Senator. I don't have that amendment.
That is the amendment I circulated in the room when we were all sitting there. Every single person got one.
Can I get a copy of it, please, before you proceed? So, because I'm going to have to read it back. Somebody will be. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thank you. Bill number 34-387 is amended at the end of Section 1 after business scattered by adding on the condition that in addition to the permitted lot occupancy limitation, no less than 30% of the zoning lot must remain green space and no gas station, bars, taverns, nightclubs, and or outdoor music entertainment are permitted. I so move.
Amendment number 34-717 has been properly moved by Senator Alma Francis Heiliger, seconded by Senator Kenneth L. Gittin, Senator Genevieve Whitaker, Senator Franklin D. Johnson, Senator Angel Bolquez. Hearing no objections, so ordered.
I heard one, Carla.
Oh, there was an objection?
Yes.
Objected to by Senator Carla J. Joseph. Debate time.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Madam Clerk, please put 2 minutes debate time on for the proponent and for the objector.
Thank you.
Senator Carla J. Joseph, I believe that, I know that we do it a little different, but I believe that if you're the objector, you need to say why you're objecting. Carla J. Joseph, you're recognized for your 2 minutes debate time.
Thank you so much, Madam President. While I realize that this amendment is seeking to help address the issues that the surrounding area landowners have brought forward regarding this rezoning, I do have some concerns still, some really burning concerns relative to it, whether we have had conversations with the landowner itself, and I understood that the property I saw some emails that the property had shifted hands as well. So those were some of my concerns. And so I'm going to reserve the rest of my time on this debate.
Thank you. Senator Francis Heiliger.
Thank you.
You're recognized for your 2 minutes debate time.
My colleague shared that we had not potentially spoken to the owners of this project, but I also recall they didn't speak to they did not speak to DPNR when they verbally came on the floor and told us about their changes. So me having to have a conversation, or any of us, we all listened to their testimony, and this was a compromise for many of the people in this institution in order to get it passed. For those of you that choose to support it, that is your choice. For those that do not, you have that right. But by bringing this amendment forward is attempting to reduce the amount of space that will be utilized to occupy this project. I reserve the balance of my time.
Madam Clerk, how much time is on the clock for each senator?
Senator Joseph, 1 minute, 7 seconds. Senator Francis Heiliger, 1 minute, 5 seconds.
Senator Joseph, you're recognized for your
1 minute, 7 seconds.
1 minute, 7 seconds.
I want to be clear that when we are having rezonings, we need to make sure that every stakeholder is at the table to have a discussion and to put their input. We have a landowner, the applicant. I don't know if we have gotten approval by them to make this adjustment to their rezoning. I don't know. Okay, they came before us and they said they were making some adjustments. And two, I am not opposed at any point with St. Croix.
30 seconds.
Okay, I want to support St. Croix, but I also want to respect the number of landowners in the surrounding areas who came forward and presented their objection. And I think that DPNR had made some really critical recommendations, and we need to lean on the behalf of the technical people at DPNR and respect them. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I reserve the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator Carla J. Joseph. Madam Clerk, how much time is
1
left?
minute, 5 seconds for Senator Francis Heiliger.
Senator Francis Heiliger, you're recognized for your 1 minute, 5 seconds.
Thank you. I think my colleague is not aware of what her job is, because the last time I checked, I do not need to consult with anyone in order to pass legislation. Because the same way the testifiers came here and said they didn't feel like going back and consulting with DPNR, when they clearly told them there were major issues they had, they said they would rather take a chance with us. So I am fully aware of what my job is. Maybe you should figure it out. Now, as I was saying, I'm going to go ahead and read once again what we're attempting to do. We're
30
attempting
seconds.
to limit it to 30% for green space. They could utilize the rest for the project. And there's going to be no gas stations, no bars, no taverns, no nightclubs, no outdoor music entertainment projects. So my thing is very simple. A lot of the people made complaints in that area, and people are attempting to make a happy medium in order to see if this goes forward.
Time.
If you still don't want it,
Your time has been
it
called,
is your
Senator.
right to vote.
All right.
Thank you.
Roll call on amendment number 34.
Senator Samuel Carrion. Senator Carrion not voting. Senator Dwayne M. DeGraff. Senator DeGraff absent. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr. Senator Francis
You have to
Jr. Nay. Senator Francis Jr. Yay. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. Senator Francis Heiliger, yay. Senator Donna A. Fred Gregory.
Yes.
Senator Fred Gregory, yay. Senator Kenneth L. Gittins. Yes. Senator Gittins, yay. Senator Javon E. James Sr. Senator James Sr., yay. Senator Franklin D. Johnson. Senator Johnson, yay. Senator Carla Joseph. Senator Joseph, nay. Senator Milton Potter. Senator Potter, absent. Senator Janelle K. Saru. Senator Saru, not voting. Senator Kurt A. Viale. Senator Viale, absent. Senator Genevieve R. Whitaker. Senator Whitaker, not voting. Madam President, 8 yeas, 1 nay, 3 absent, 3 not voting.
Please change Senator Saru's vote to no.
Senator Saru, nay.
Please change Senator Carrion's vote to, what did you say, Senator? To yes. Or to record his vote to yes.
Senator Saru, Senator Carrion, yay. Madam President, 9 yeas, 2 nays, 3 absent, 1 not voting.
Amendment number 34, that's 717, has been adopted.